more?
Tommy, you better not fuck around.
You better not. Watch out.
No more of your fuckery.
Alright. We are here for our 5th and final, baby. Did it.
Good stuff.
Hell yeah. Well, anyways, I'm Mike.
I am John. And this is the last week of
Stephen King's Halloween Spooktacular.
Woo!
Hell yeah.
Halloween Spooktacular.
Yeah. Week 5.
Yeah. And we are
doing Gen Wars, baby.
Yeah, it's Generation Wars.
Yes.
And
if you can tell, we did a lot of prep for this.
Listened to a 44-hour-long audiobook.
You did.
3-hour and 12-minute miniseries. I want to say it's 4 hours and 53 minutes.
Let's just basically say 5 hours.
5 hours of movies.
Yeah.
For a grand total of...
it's about, 8 hours and 51 minutes is what we thought?
No. Wait. Yeah. Something like that.
Yeah. Close enough.
Which came out to being like...
Wow.
The Shining was number 1, and then now it's this.
Yeah, we knew it was. once we thought up the plans.
We came up with the plans, and we were just like, oh man. And I think at one point you were like, we could do The Shining and It all in one weekend, and I was like, fuck we can. Like, no. We will.
Yeah, I'm glad we split it up.
Yeah. I mean, it works out better this way.
Right. Yeah.
And I think this is perfect to end our Halloween Spooktacular on.
It is.
Because what book do you usually think of when you think of Stephen King? You think of the Scary Clown book.
You do. And it's a scary-ass clown.
It is a fucked up clown book.
It is.
Although, I will argue that this is not a, scary clowns are scary book. But we can get into that.
Yeah.
We got a lot of shit to dig into in this.
Yeah.
This is a 1,000-page book. It says right here, the Moby Dick of horror novels. And
Who said that? Los Angeles Herald Examiner. Hey, that's a mouthful.
Washington Post Book World.
Yeah. It's a big book.
Yeah, it's a
very big book. Yeah.
A big fucking book. I want to say it's like...
It's over 1,000.
It's, Yep. We're gonna look at a book on camera.
1153.
1153. And that's before the acknowledgements and shit. So...
Yeah. A lot.
1,153 pages of book. 8 hours. 8 hours later.
9, pretty much 9.
Yeah.
Pretty much 9.
And we are here for our final episode.
We are. At 2 o'clock
now
in the
that
morning.
we're done jerking ourselves off.
hey, we gotta give ourselves some credit, man. We did it.
Worked our asses off.
We did. Yeah. Thank you for sticking around with us. Yeah. Glad you watched that Dr. Sleep. Yeah. Watch us shred that movie almost as bad as we shredded Pet Sematary.
I don't think we shredded it as bad, because we at least acknowledged that half of that movie is good.
Right, and then the second half.
Nothing in Pet Sematary 2019 is good. There's nothing redeeming about that movie.
Nothing.
I would at least say you should give Dr. Sleep a watch.
Right.
I cannot say that about Pet Sematary.
Right.
You know me. I will recommend terrible things to people.
You do.
I have recommended total shit movies to people just to see their reactions. I would not do that. I would not inflict Pet Sematary 2019 people on people. It is punishment.
That's cruel and unusual punishment.
Yes.
Anyways.
Just the worst movie ever made. I can't think of something I dislike more than that movie, I think. Cats is better thought out than that.
That is honestly one of the worst movies of all time in Pet Sematary 2019.
Yeah.
It honestly is.
Definitely one of the worst that we've seen. We've seen some terrible shit.
We purposely watched some horrible...
Yeah, like that's literally what movie night started.
Things.
That's us watching the worst bullshit we could find is what spawned this show.
Yeah, no, literally.
Even though we haven't actually...
Not Gen Wars, but I mean just...
Well, yeah, just
Psycho Juicebox.
Psycho Juicebox.
Yeah.
Like, us talking about movies, that's what spawned it.
Uh-huh.
It's like Pet Sematary 2019 and Sinister 2, and after we saw Pet Sematary 2019, we rewatched Sinister 2, and we were like, oh, Pet Sematary 2019, hands down. Fuck that. At least, like, this one is kind of fun.
What? Going away from Gen Wars, what do you think about Open House?
Oh, wait, Open House, I forgot about that. That might be worse.
I don't know.
Ooh.
I don't know because it wasn't marketed as such a big film. It didn't even go to the theaters.
It shouldn't have.
I know that, but it's a Netflix original, so...
That doesn't mean shit.
I had a whole hell of a lot more expectations on Pet Sematary after watching that trailer than Open House, so I'd still say Pet Sematary. Oh, yeah.
I don't know, like, you built up Open House quite a bit. You were just like, oh no, wait, no one built up Open House.
Nobody did.
You were like,
that was during pandemic.
The reason we watched it was because you were like, this is the lowest rated movie on Netflix
I think I've ever seen. And it has what, a 0?
It has
a 2?
I thought it had a 6.
I don't know, but it's horrible.
I think it had a 6
no
on
wonder.
Rotten Tomatoes.
No wonder. It's not a shocking
lie.
I
don't often agree with Rotten Tomatoes scores, but critic scores, but
oh, I 100% agree.
Sorry guys, that movie sucks.
Yeah. Anyways, let's talk about it.
Man, this is just such a big topic. It's really intimidating. So let's just jump in. Mike, tell us a little bit about it.
Are you talking about like in the whole grasp of things?
Sure.
So we
came up with an idea where we were going to figure out the proper format for Gen Wars and be used throughout this, and we have not.
But the problem with Gen Wars with the Stephen King, we always talk about the book.
Yeah.
I mean, because we didn't do that with obviously Space Jam. We didn't do that with The Grudge.
Yeah.
I mean, this is something that we haven't done.
Yeah.
So I mean, what we did with Pet Sematary and The Shining, we talked about the book, and then we talked about the miniseries. Or no, we talked about the movie and then the miniseries. So I think we'll stay on that track.
Okay.
So we'll talk about things in the book that we liked, and then we'll talk about the 2 movies, and then we'll talk about the miniseries.
Well, you said you don't really remember anything from the book, right?
I don't. That's why I said I'm going to rely on you.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, so how are we going to do this?
I mean, we can talk about just some things in the books that weren't in the movies that you really liked.
Man, that's tough.
And if you can't, and then just talk about the book.
Between these 2 movies, they pretty much hit all the main shit.
Okay.
Between the 2.
Okay.
Some of them are different, some of them are the same. This is fucking weird. We're going to be, by the way, including It and It Chapter 2 as one.
Yes, of course. That's the same. It's going to be the same thing.
Some people might have an issue with that.
I don't care.
This is our show.
This is my show.
This
is our show. If you don't watch it, I'm sorry. You can watch anything else. Red Letter Media. Go ahead. Free plug.
Yeah. Yeah, go fuck off to them. Sometimes they don't even finish watching the movies.
No, they don't.
We always do.
Yeah, we put in a lot of work.
Goddamn work.
Yeah.
I think I was watching. Let's shit on Red Letter Media for a second.
All right, go ahead. She and Mike don't care. We don't exist to them.
I was frustrated because of their John Carpenter episode when I think it was Jay admitted that he didn't watch one of the movies for the video, and he hadn't seen it in a while. And I was just like, well, that's bullshit. You can't do that. I think it was Vampires.
Oh.
Where he said,
I don't blame him for not watching that, though.
Well,
but you got to. But
if you're going to talk about it,
right.
you gotta watch it all the way through.
Right.
Otherwise, you don't get to say shit.
Right. And that's our soapbox on that.
And anyway, that's my issue.
That's our soapbox.
Otherwise, they're pretty awesome.
They're awesome.
Right down
Love
south
them.
in Milwaukee.
Love them.
Right down south from us, like less than an hour away from us.
I mean, Mike and Rich. I mean, God, they're legends.
And the best part is, I had already started coming up with this show before I even knew they fucking existed.
All right.
Like, I had B-Views and Generation Wars, like, all kind of set up. And then, like, I found out about them, and I was like, alright, well, we can set up B-Views.
All right.
Kind of like their review set, where it's just, like, two people on chairs.
Sure. Yeah.
And that's how that worked out.
Yeah. And that's the thing, I mean, I always thought that we would kind of hit on the horrible, just god-awful movies ever made.
I kind of wanted to do that.
Like Mystery Science Theater.
And then we stopped doing that.
I know. We got to get back on.
What we need to do is revisit PSC. Or not PSC, but J-Edge.
Oh, we could.
We gotta revisit J-Edge for some stuff.
We could.
Because we've been slacking on our J-Edge. Yeah. We gotta get that shit.
Or movies that we both, you know, that's the big thing even in the gaming today is the rage, the rage videos. We can watch like some movies that we both hate, and we can just shred them.
We try not to do that too often.
I know.
Because I hate rage videos.
I love them.
Fucking dumb.
I love them. I love it when somebody who's so invested in a game because it reminds me of myself.
If you're raging and you hate something so much, then don't fucking
But you don't hate it though because you're putting so much effort into it. But anyways, if you don't like it, fuck off.
Anyway.
Yeah. Now we can focus on the.
Fuck! This is a nightmare, dude.
Or we can talk about the movie, the miniseries, and then maybe.
Yeah, let's do that.
We can do that. We can change it up.
Fuck.
It's our show.
We'll talk about the miniseries first because it's chronological order.
Oh, okay.
Because last time we talked.
So you're going completely against of what I said.
No, I'm not.
You 100% are.
The only reason we did the movie first last time was because it was The Shining, and the movie came before the miniseries. So I figured it would be easier for us to do that.
We could.
And we'll come back to this fucking monster.
God. Just do bicep curls with that some bitch.
We'll come back to that thing later.
Yeah. God, King, you got too much time on your hands for that.
He was too high to figure it out.
Was he high in '86?
I want to say yes.
When did Maximum Overdrive come out? That had to have been mid-'80s. So
I
thought he is in a hard drug addiction at that point.
Maximum Overdrive was '87.
Was it 87?
I could be fucking wrong.
Oh, could be.
Are you asking me when the short story Trucks came out, or when the movie?
I'm not talking about Trucks.
Overdrive.
I'm talking about the movie that he directed. That was just a literal coke fest.
Dude, that movie set sounds awesome. That and fucking Apocalypse Now sound like the best work environments.
Yeah. Okay, let's focus on it.
All right.
Yeah.
So, Mike, tell us a little bit about this It miniseries.
The It miniseries. Now you got Tim Curry. You got Tim Curry as Pennywise.
You got Tim Curry. You got Seth Green.
Yep.
You got Jonathan Taylor Thomas. You got Zachary Ty Bryan.
No, you don't.
You've got Mary Kate Olsen.
No.
You got fucking River Phoenix.
No. None of those people are in this.
Seth Green is.
Seth Green is.
Seth Green and a bunch of shitty kid actors and a bunch of shitty adult actors. Also, John Ritter are in this movie.
The kid who plays Bill is not bad.
You're right. He's not.
He's not
really
bad.
good for a kid actor.
He is very good. He is very good. He reminds me of like a young Devon Sawa. He kind of does.
I've only seen Devon Sawa in a few things, so.
I mean, I watched Little Giants when I was a kid.
Oh shit! He was in that. Huh?
Way too many times to.
I watched that like once.
Oh my god! I watch it almost every week.
You know what movie I watched all the time that was a sports movie?
What?
Like Mike.
Ah! Yeah.
I have it. It's over there. Same copy I used to watch all the time.
I bet it is. Anyway, so yes. So we got A decent cast.
Zachary Taylor Thomas.
No, we're not. No. No.
And Corey Feldman in blackface as Mike.
Anyways,
man, that's a terrible joke.
That is no. That's not good. And if you want to cut away, I would understand. All right.
Man, that would be a terrible movie.
That'd be awful. So we got Timothy Curry is a dancing clown by the name of Pennywise. Pennywise the dancing clown.
A lot of dancing.
That's what his name is, correct?
He is Pennywise the dancing clown.
Yeah, and then
Bob Gray.
Bob Gray,
also known as Pennywise the dancing clown.
So,
Eater of worlds.
Wow. Anyways, back to the plot. So, wow.
We're everywhere today. It's fun.
Wow. So, we got Pennywise as a creepy-ass fucking clown. And he eats children.
Now, do you think clowns are creepy?
Yes, I do.
I don't.
I always have had that inkling that there's something weird here.
I mean, when I was a kid, I didn't like them very much, and it wasn't because, like, they looked creepy or anything. It was because I didn't like people paying attention to me.
Oh.
Like, especially
Sure.
adults who were trying to put on an act for me.
Yeah. That's why you didn't really like birthday parties.
I didn't like birthday parties.
I
didn't like anyone who was dressed in a costume who was going to, like, sing to me or, like, come and ask me questions. I wasn't for that very much.
Right.
Like, I wanted to be, but I just wasn't.
Right. See, I always thought it was kind of like...
but I actually kind of liked clowns, because I went to a birthday party with a clown when I was a kid, and I thought they were really funny. Like, they did a little magic act and shit, and it was fun, and I liked it a lot. But I didn't like when they started, like, talking to me and paying attention to me.
I don't know. I've always had that inkling where you're covering up something with face paint, and then my mom got me into, like, Gacy, and I'm like, no, I definitely don't. Yeah.
I don't know, like, that, to me, like, people being like, Gacy was a clown, that's me being like, oh man, this guy was a dentist and he killed like 40 people, and it's like, dentists must all be evil.
Are you talking about the movie The Dentist?
Oh man, I haven't seen that yet.
Oh, that's a good one.
I want to.
That's a good one.
I watched Maniac Cop not too long ago. We should do Maniac Cop.
Yeah, in time.
Bruce Campbell.
In time.
And Robert Z'Dar.
Yeah.
Fuck, dude, that's a good movie.
Anyways, back to it.
Yeah.
Let's redirect this. Okay, so we got the Losers Club.
The Losers Club.
We got Bill,
starring Corey Feldman.
No, we got. Oh my God! Enough about Corey Feldman.
And the corpse of Corey Haim.
Wow.
Man, those jokes are dark tonight.
Oh, Johnny, you gotta shut up. So we got Bill, we got Michael, we got Ben, we got Stanley, we have Edward, we have Victor Carantini, we got what is his name? The guy Bill Hader plays.
Oh, Richie.
Richie. I was gonna say Ricky. I knew that was wrong.
Is that in this one where he has Ed? He calls Eddie Eds, and
Eds.
Eddie doesn't like that.
Right.
And he's like, well, how would you like it if I start calling you Dick, huh, Dick? Oh, that can't be in this one. This is made for TV.
Yeah.
That must be in the book.
And then we got Beverly.
Yeah, Beverly Marsh.
Yep. And then so we have Pennywise against
children.
Yes, Pennywise against the losers.
It's complicated.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's not super complicated. He eats fear by killing kids. Yeah.
Sure. That's simple.
Yeah.
It's that simple.
He kills kids by eating fear. Like, I think we mentioned a little bit in the last one where I was like, oh man, these kind of seem like deadlights to me. The fucking True Knot, where they're like, oh man, we have to torture the kid to purify the steam.
Yep.
That way because fear and pain purifies steam, and it's like, oh man, that kind of reminds me of Pennywise a little bit.
Yep.
So I wonder if that's like got some weird Dark Tower connections, but
Right.
eh.
No. Like I said, we'll never know.
Because Pennywise is a deadlight.
Yes.
I think that's what they're called.
Okay.
Not like officially, but I think that's just what people call them. They call like Pennywise and the Crimson King are deadlights.
Okay. I would have never known. Crimson King. Would have never known.
I don't know, man. Maybe that's from Insomnia.
I'll have to read that.
Yeah, read it. I've heard you have to read The Dark Tower before you can understand anything in that book, so...
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we have Pennywise against kids.
Yeah, I mean, that's the basic plot. Basically,
that's the plot of
there's
the
a town called Derry,
yep.
and
it's in Maine.
It wakes up every 27 years
yep.
to eat the fear of kids by killing them.
Yep. Yep. Kind of like Jeepers Creepers.
Yeah. And here we find ourselves in the well, actually, I think this one might be the 1960s.
Yep.
This is the 50s. This is the 80s.
Yes.
We're all over the place. It's fine.
Yeah.
This is one of those movies where like every generation can just like remake the movie for it because they're like, oh yeah, this could be them like back in 2010s now, and everyone will be like, okay, there's one about the 2010s, like.
Maybe when I'm like 56, I'll see.
Maybe in 27 more years, I'll have another It movie.
Maybe.
Every 27 years, we get an It movie now.
Yep.
Pennywise.
Wouldn't doubt it.
Pennywise.
Oh, we gotta remake this again? Oh my god.
You know what? I'd be down for it. Fuck it. I don't give a fuck enough.
I would not watch it.
No?
Hopefully by that time, we got...
I thought you were gonna say, hopefully by that time I'll be dead.
I mean, I maybe, but no.
Probably not. Hopefully not.
Hopefully not. Anyways, miniseries is dated.
It's 1990.
It's dated.
I think what dates it more is the fact that it is a TV miniseries.
It is. And you get the cuts.
You get
the black
commercial cuts. You get the.
It's like, oh fucking hey.
That doesn't bother me as much.
No,
like,
I know, but then it's.
I
like,
think it's fun.
Yeah.
It reminds me.
You know what would be fun if you actually left the commercials in. See the old ass commercials from the 90s. That'd be sweet, dude. Have like one of those old ass like GMC ads with like Bob Seger. Remember those?
Yes. Holy fuck.
Like a rock. That's always what I remember.
Good shit.
Yep. Yep.
Fuck.
But
dude.
but the big difference between those two and this one is the budget.
Oh yeah.
I mean, you can just see from the point.
Holy shit.
The opening gun. Obviously, this is
also shit tons of CGI.
Yes.
So I don't think there's any CGI in.
What about the end? By the way, we're gonna talk about spoilers.
The end didn't have CGI though. It wasn't CGI. It was like.
Was that stop motion?
It wasn't stop motion. They said it was an animatronic.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Well, it was a combination of a bunch of different things. There was a big model. I think there was slight stop motion, but most of it was an animatronic because one of the big things that the director complained about, because I watched as much commentary for these as I could, because I was just like, all right, first off, I need to figure out why the fuck that Angel of the Morning scene is in this movie, which, by the way, does not explain Andy Muschietti. What the fuck? You can't just put that in a movie and not be like, oh, this is why.
Sure.
Well, actually, I think he does explain why. I think he said, I thought this was very funny. And I'm like, you know what?
Whatever.
Do what you want, Andy Muschietti.
Yeah.
You got a captive audience at this point.
Yeah.
But my understanding was that it was animatronic and like part animatronic, part model. Because I don't think maybe the whole thing was animatronic, but one of the things that they had was he wanted the legs to be like really big.
Okay.
like really thick around to make it the legs more muscular and scary looking. And when they got the the big fucking spider back, they didn't they didn't have they didn't have the big muscly awesome looking legs that he wanted, and he was like, well, what the hell? And they were like, yeah, we physically can't do that, otherwise it won't work.
Okay.
So it must have been an animatronic.
That's pretty fucking awesome.
Yeah, right?
That really adds to it then.
Yeah, because it kind of looked animatronic when it was moving.
It did.
Because
it did, but it also looked like stop motion too.
Well, it might have had a little bit of stop motion.
Right.
I'm not sure.
Right.
But like, because they may have just started stop motioning parts of it.
Right.
I know that at least that part where it's like lifting Eddie up, that's probably part of the animatronic.
Okay.
You know.
Yeah. All right. Cool beans.
But I think the spider at the end looks cool.
No, I think so too.
I know a lot of people are like, oh, it's a big dumb spider, and I'm like, it looks like an alien spider, like something out of Men in Black, and it's really fucking cool.
Right, right.
Like, look at how awesome its face is. Because like it looks cheesy from like far away, but then like when it like has its face really close and it's like picking up Eddie and like moving around and shit, like it looks pretty cool.
Yep.
Otherwise, it looks kind of cheesy. It's TV movie cheesy.
I thought it was kind of cheesy the way Eddie died too.
Well, what you mean? It picked him up and then moved him up and down a few times, and then he like died.
And then he dropped him, and then he's dead.
Yeah.
I thought that was kind of cheese.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's kind of dated.
This
it doesn't have that much of a budget.
The It miniseries is cheese.
It is.
But from what I can
tell... It's not a bad cheese, though.
No, it's a really entertaining
it's
cheese.
not a bad, like, oh, this is shit cheese.
Like,
it's
Tim Curry is chewing the shit out of the scenery. Bill's ponytail is doing a lot of work.
There's a lot of 90s. late 80s, early 90s in this. You get the Shawn Michaels fucking ponytail.
That's right.
I'm surprised he didn't whip it around like that. But
no, I love his ponytail because it's almost hidden.
It is.
Where, like, he's got it really tight in the back. So, like, when me and Sam first watched this movie, we were just like, oh, man, look, that's Bill. That's kind of a... Look, he looks just like Bill.
Right.
Like, just like you'd imagine him. And then he, like, turns, and you just see that ponytail, and we were like, ponytail?
It's the 90s, man.
I mean,
guess. That was big.
I mean, I guess it was, but, like...
I don't know why.
It was so weird.
No, I have no idea. Yeah.
But, it's 27 years later. They go through all the Henry Bowers shit and everything. Henry Bowers, does he get to carve the H into... No. He doesn't even make it to it. No. He goes to do it, but he doesn't get to.
Right.
He does in this, he does in the book.
Yes.
Alright.
Yeah. I think that's obvious too graphic.
Probably for TV.
Yeah, especially back in 90 with HW.
Yeah. One of the things the director pointed out was that on the TV promos, they didn't show a lot of like the actual scares in the thing.
That's awesome.
And it focused a lot on like showing Pennywise just being a creepy clown, so a lot of parents were like, oh, it's just like a creepy clown, so it should be fine for kids. And like, which they were just like, it's called Stephen King's It, so we figured that would like clue people in. Because it's 1990, people know who Stephen King is and what he's about.
Yeah.
Like Pet Sematari's come out by now. That was a big hit when it came out.
Yep.
Fucking Christine's already come out. Like, we know what Stephen King's about.
Yeah.
And then people let their kids watch it, and then their kids freaked out when there was, like, blood and eyeballs coming out of fortune cookies and, like, all sorts of crazy bullshit.
That's your fucking problem if you didn't realize it's a Stephen King
and their kids freaked the fuck out. And then they sent letters to the director.
That's too bad.
Who were just like...
Yeah.
It was like a bunch of parents were that fucking John Travolta gif from Pulp Fiction. Just...
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. Okay, so going back to 27 years.
Okay. Because now Bill has a ponytail. We didn't really talk much about the losers. What's your favorite part of this movie? I'm gonna call this a movie. It's a miniseries, but it's a
movie.
It's 3 hours long.
Oh, that's a fucking movie.
It's a movie nowadays.
I really like the library scene. When they're in there and Pennywise is cracking jokes at Richie when he's older now.
Oh, the one with Richie in the library.
I fucking love that scene.
When he's
me and my brother Tim, we used to read that.
He's got like the hey, have you got Prince Albert in a can? Well, you better let the poor guy out.
Yeah, and then I thought it was always cool.
Just dies laughing at his own joke, and it's just like got that giant fucking noisemaker. And Tim Curry is just eating the scenery alive.
Yeah. And then you have like the balloons, and then they pop, and they're full of blood.
Yep.
It's like, ooh, this is kind of creepy.
I like that scene.
I really like that scene.
And I think a lot of the horror in the miniseries
is not real scary horror.
It's not like scary, but it's unsettling.
Yes.
Like there aren't a lot of like dark, creepy moments.
Right.
Like in this one, everything's like dark and it's
of course it's a darker.
Like
right.
In this one, everything's like out in the light. Like we got this really crazy library scene where Pennywise is cracking jokes and making balloons fall and telling Richie that he's gonna fucking die if he doesn't leave.
Richie. Yeah, beep.
And there's that scene where Richie is like, Pennywise is like yelling and he's got the noisemaker and shit and like all that bullshit. Yeah. Like he's trying to talk to that librarian and he's just screaming at the librarian and like we can hear he's like covered in blood and screaming at the librarian and like just trying to talk to her because he can't hear.
Right.
He's talking over Tim Curry doing Tim Curry shit. and we're all sitting there and we're just like, so she can't see or hear Pennywise or see the blood, so all she's seeing is a guy leaning in really close to her and screaming in her face right now.
Literally.
And screaming, let Mike Hanlon know when he gets back to call me.
Oh, I thought that was hilarious, dude. Oh, that was funny shit.
That's the thing the director talked about, where he said humor and horror are kind of two sides of the same coin, and you can't really have one without the other.
Right.
And I was like, oh, that's really interesting, because that's how a lot of, like, fucking Dead Alive or The Evil Dead, where, like, in real life, just blood shooting out of the walls is probably horrifying, but, like, when you see it, it's fucking hilarious.
Right. It's just kind of stupid, kind of funny.
It's just slapstick funny.
Right.
Like, it's probably pretty horrifying to, like, hit your head on a pipe and then the pipe starts shooting blood into your face, but, like, that's fucking funny.
Right. It's different, but it's funny.
Yeah.
Right. Now, how about yourself?
That's a really good one. But the scene that's coming to me, and I know, like, people hate the Richie in that. I think Richie in the miniseries reminds me a lot more of Richie in the book than in the movie. Just because, like, Richie in the book is just will not shut up. Ever. There in the fucking sewer, he is cracking jokes and being an asshole and being stupid. He is, like, everywhere, and I think the moment in that like, Richie is captured perfectly in that part where they are in the library and they're, like, calling up Stan, and he is just, like, sitting there, just not shutting up, just, like, screaming sitting on the desk, screaming, picking up the phone and pretending to, like, talk to Derry over the radio. Right. I think he has a line where he, like, he grabs Eddie and he's just like, this guy looks like my long-lost brother. He is my long-lost brother. Right. And, like, that's when they're calling Stan to find out where Stan is. Right. And the first line that Richie has is, tell Stan if he doesn't show up, he's a dead man. And I was like, oh, shit, that's fun.
Right.
And, like, Richie has to eat those words in a few minutes.
Right. Yeah, literally. Yeah.
Now, I always think it's weird in both of these where they call up Stan because that doesn't happen in the book.
Okay.
Mike already knows when they show up.
Right.
Like, because he's constantly keeping tabs on them, and they show up, like, I think a couple days later or whatever. So, what, because, like, they're traveling from all over the place. I think Richie goes in from California, Beverly's in Chicago,
Right.
you know, they're all over the place.
Right.
Oh, fucking Bill is in England.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, they take a little bit, and Mike already knows that Stan killed himself when they all come in.
Right.
So, when they're at the Jade Dragon, they're like, hey, where's Stan? He tells them that Stan killed himself and won't be there.
Right.
Sav really hates what they did to Stan in the new movie, but...
She does.
And I kind of agree with it.
I do too.
Man, that was a good assessment she had.
You did.
Yeah. It's a thing I didn't think about too much until... Well, I haven't watched it all the way through in a while. I mostly just watched this movie for Bill Hader.
Right.
Because I love Bill Hader.
I do too.
And as much as I love him, he could do Richie really well, but he's too quiet and reserved at the end of, like, in the second half of that movie.
Right. And he is.
Yeah.
And he is, very much so.
I think that scene, because I love Richie in the book. Like, Richie is just this really interesting character to me, probably because I'm also that guy who just never shuts the fuck up ever.
Right.
Like, corner you and talk to you, and I'll never shut up until you're just like, I'm leaving, bye. Like,
right.
Just slowly back away.
Right.
So, I get Richie. Richie is my people.
Right. Sure.
He really is. I think he is. Except I don't make his, like, a bunch of racist impressions in my
that's
my
good.
stuff.
That's good.
Because he's got some stuff in the book.
Okay.
Which, it's the 50s. I'll give it the 50s pass, I guess.
Right.
Where he's pretending to be, he's doing, like, old slave voices and shit in the book. It's not okay.
That's not okay.
No.
No.
He does his Pancho Vanilla voice, which is, like, where he just says, we don't need no stinking badges over and over again.
Okay. Alright. Alright, so he comes down in, like, Blazing Saddles.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Alright. Wow. Alright.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think Richie's character is interesting in all of these, although I misunderstood what Richie's job is in this movie the first time I watched it, because I thought he was like a Johnny Carson style, like, late night host, and he's apparently just a stand-up comedian.
Right.
Which is what he is in this movie. And in the book, he's a fucking DJ, like a famous radio DJ who interviews musicians.
Okay. All right.
Because one of the things that they have is he's like, he talks about how he's interviewed Ozzy Osbourne and stuff like that.
Okay.
And his...
Wow, what a difference, eh?
Yeah, like, Richie is really into rock and roll when he's a kid in the book.
All right.
So one of the things he talks about, he's like, one day I'm gonna be a rock star.
Okay.
And so he grows up to meet all of the rock stars that he loved as a kid.
Oh, very cool.
A lot of them.
Sure.
And that's why, like, it popped up and it had that, like, rest in peace Richie Tozier, like, memorial service thing, and I was just like, Richie Tozier's All Dead Rock Show! Like, and that's what it does instead, where it's like, with Jimi Hendrix on guitar, and, Buddy Holly, and, like, just all the famous dead musicians are listed as being at Richie Tozier's All Dead Rock Show.
Oh, how cool is that?
Yeah.
Alright.
So, it's a little different, but I like the idea of him being a stand-up comedian. A little bit, at least.
Right.
Like, it's probably the closest thing nowadays that you would get.
Sure.
Because you're not really gonna be a famous, successful DJ nowadays, probably.
Right.
Or at least not like a radio DJ.
Sure. Right. Yeah. Because nobody really listens to radio.
Unless it's like Sirius XM, maybe.
Right. Right.
But
I mean, like, local radio, no.
Not a lot.
Right.
And I could be wrong. Actually, a lot of people probably listen to local radio, but whatever.
Yeah.
Fuck it.
Oh.
Who has CD players besides me?
Right. Right.
Bill is a writer. In this one, they constantly make jokes about when Bill's an adult, they constantly make jokes about
shitty endings.
like his shitty endings, which is supposed to be a joke about Stephen King,
right?
Which is a joke that I didn't get because, like, I've never heard that people hate Stephen King's endings.
They hate him.
I had never heard that, and I've liked all of his endings so far that in all the books I've read, including in this one. Which is the thing that pisses me off about both of these movies is I don't like very much how it ends in either of them.
Okay.
But that's we can talk about that later.
Okay.
Because I don't know where we are. I'm lost and I haven't shut up for a while.
Yeah.
So
we're just talking about your favorite part of the miniseries.
Yeah. Well, what about this one? There's a lot of shit in there.
There's a lot of shit in there. What's really sticking out to me is the lumberjack scene, man.
Yeah?
I really like that.
I mean, it's a little cartoony, but...
Yeah, I like that, though.
I like the lumberjack.
I really like that.
I like Paul Bunyan statue as,
I think that's pretty awesome. I thought that was awesome, and I also like, too, when Beverly first gets the blood bubble. Or when she's pulled down and then
she's grabbed by the hair.
Yeah, and then just covered in blood.
All that hair shoots out. That's pretty great.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah. Also, the Pomeranian was cute. That was funny.
I love the setup for it.
I do too.
Like just like, can't he come as something like a dog, like a tiny dog, like maybe a Pomeranian, and then like it's a little Pomeranian, and like it's just fucking what's his face, PJ something, Deputy so and so, and Bill Hader. Like, they open the door and it's just this Pomeranian. He's like, oh, fuck no, that's a monster.
Yeah, I thought that was funny.
And, like, they both know, like, they're just like, oh, fuck that thing.
Right.
And it's like, sit. Right. And it sits and he's like, oh, that's cute. Oh, that's cute. Right.
Right.
And just knowing that it's just them acknowledging that they know that it's gonna happen is priceless.
Oh, I love it. I would say those are some of my favorites.
Yeah, that's I really like the scene with Ben in the library basement with the headless kid.
Yeah, that's cool.
I really liked I love the Jade of the Orient scene.
Okay. Now in this one, I like it in
both.
Oh, okay.
I just love that scene, getting to see all of our characters come together and
they're
just
beating up on each other.
Yeah,
the ragtagging.
You know, because in both of these, they actually feel like old friends.
Sure.
Like they've got some chemistry going.
Right.
I would almost say a little bit better in the miniseries than in this one.
Right.
But like they've still got it kind of going.
Right.
Because they have that like just the whole Jade of the Orient scene in this one is one of my favorite, because you have some of my favorite Bill Hader shit in it, like the like, wow, you two sure do look good. What the fuck happened to me? Shit like that.
Oh, yeah. Who isn't afraid to cut up on himself?
Yeah.
Right.
When he's speaking Huttese and like.
Oh yeah.
He's like
Jabba the Hutt. Yeah.
It's really sweet. Sometimes your mom will just lean into me, and then he like speaks in Huttese.
Yeah, I love it.
This is fucking great.
Oh, it is funny.
Like I just love all of the interactions.
Yeah, I mean, just them, just ragtagging each other.
Yeah.
It's just catching up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a fun. Fun to see that kind of shit.
Sure.
You know.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Let's see. I liked that stuff. I don't know. I have trouble with, like, you'll notice I'm not talking a lot about the first sections of these movies, and I think I just don't connect to that.
It's okay.
I have trouble connecting to stories about groups of kids who are friends, because I didn't really have a lot of that as a kid.
Right, me neither.
Like, I didn't have friends near me.
Okay.
All of my friends were living, like, an hour away.
Oh, okay.
So, like,
right.
Because I went to school 45 minutes away, and all of my friends went to that school,
right.
and I just
Right.
Like, I commuted over there, so...
Yeah, which wasn't easy.
So, like, the closest thing I had to this wasn't until, like, my senior year of high school.
Okay. Alright.
So, like, being a bike kid when I'm, like, 11, that's just not a thing.
Right.
So, I can't really watch that and be like, oh, I remember when I was a kid, and we were out riding bikes, and hanging out with my friends very much.
Right.
I don't connect to that.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I had a few of those. I mean, obviously the summers were the best.
Yeah.
I mean, you know.
Well, summers, like, I grew up in Louisiana. Summers were really fucking hot.
Right.
So you didn't really want to be
right.
outside.
Right. Right. Growing up in New York, that's the only nice weather that we have.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because it snows in October and April, so only get a few select months.
So I think we should probably try and bring up the fact that every single bully in Stephen King's universe is a fucking psychopath who straight up wants to murder people.
Literal monsters. I mean, literal.
Like, alright.
I mean, sociopathic, psychopathic characters.
Yes. Like, Henry Bowers...
I mean, he's a monster.
He's a monster. What they don't show is, like, what's in the book. Patrick Hockstetter is the scariest motherfucker in that whole book. He is scarier than Pennywise. Stephen King straight up created a character who is on the path to being a serial killer. He literally has a refrigerator full of dead animals that he has killed. Like...
Disclaimer, by the way. Maybe trigger one.
They don't show it.
I know.
It's in the book.
I know.
None of this is in any of the movies.
No.
Because there's a part where when they start talking about Patrick Hockstetter, they talk about when he was a kid, he really hated that his baby brother made his meals late and like threw his time off, threw off his schedule. So he smothered his baby brother to death in his crib. And they all assumed it was like sudden infant death syndrome or something. And then, or I think they said cradle death.
Okay.
Which I think is old-timey slang for SIDS.
Yep.
Trigger warnings.
Yeah, I already said it.
Yeah. And then they talk about how he has he has a pencil box and it's full of flies, of dead flies, because he kills and collects flies in a pencil box, and then the flies don't become like not quite enough, so he starts like catching animals and then and then killing them and putting them in the refrigerator at the dump. Yeah, like they create a character that straight up wants to be a serial killer. Like that is what he's becoming. He's on that full fucking track. Wow.
That is something to look forward to. Holy shit.
Well, he doesn't have very long to look forward to because he pretty promptly gets killed by flying leeches.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. Should have been more torturous, but
I mean,
made he killed his fucking brother.
It was his like worst fear was leeches.
Oh, okay.
Because he found leeches when he was swimming.
Oh, okay.
But some of the worst parts of it is like them describing like through his eyes when he's dying. He's like, no, I can't possibly die because if I die, everything dies because I'm the only thing that exists. Because he holds the belief that no one else actually exists. Everyone exists as a figment of him. Oh,
so he's a narcissist.
He is a full narcissistic sociopath, like full blown, like.
Well, that's a good description.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Very, very nice.
In the book, he's delegated to just being like a guy who like burns shit with hairspray. Oh.
Wow.
Or in this one, he's kind of just a background character.
Right.
You know, just bully number 3 or whatever.
Right.
Whatever.
Right.
Doesn't bother me a ton, but like I just felt like we need to say, dude, that guy is horrifying in the book.
Yeah.
Like that. What I love about this book is people are like, oh, it's the scary clown book, and it's scary clowns are scary, and I feel like that's not the scary thing about this. And a lot of people,
the scary thing is about the people.
Well, a lot of people will say that, but I think the real horror about it is the realization that your home, all of the worst things that may have happened to you might have happened when you were a kid, and those things are all connected to your hometown and your sense of identity.
Yeah.
And as you grow older, your hometown doesn't mean much to you anymore.
Yeah.
It loses its meaning and it moves on without
Sure.
you.
Yeah.
And I think that's a lot of what this book kind of is saying. Now, I'm not saying Stephen King set out to write a book about
Sure.
this, because writers don't do that.
Uh-huh.
Writers aren't just like, I've come up with this complex concept and I am going to write a story about it.
Obviously.
They come up with a story and they write it, and what they're dealing with in their life comes through that way.
Yeah.
But I think that that's really what it is in that book, is that it's just a depiction of your childhood horrors and your hometown and your past are all connected. That's why when it gets destroyed, the entire town of Derry is destroyed.
Right. Which never happens in either of these.
Oh yeah, it doesn't.
No.
I thought like it did in this, but I think
Oh, that's when Bill fucking goes on traffic.
yeah. Well, that happens in this one too, but
Right.
Instead of
and that's how it ends.
Instead of going out, that's how it ends in the book too. Except instead of going out into traffic, he almost goes off the edge of the fucking hole that used to be the Derry downtown.
Oh, all right.
Because
that's a typical King ending, by the way.
I know.
That's a typical King ending.
Where the magic of something. Yeah, I love it. It's great.
Yeah.
This is another one of those books where I'm like, this book has a pretty happy ending, and I love it.
Yeah.
Now, I think the part that people hate about the ending of this one, well, first off, there's the whole like kid orgy part, which we're not gonna get into. It's not in either of the movies.
No.
It's in the book.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna describe it, but
no, we don't need to touch.
I'm just gonna say it is a thing.
It is.
I don't consider that like the end of the book, so I don't consider that really part of the ending.
Right.
Because it's not.
Right.
Like, the ending is more of, like, the actual ending.
Yeah, well, of course. And we're not going to talk about it.
Yeah.
Doesn't exist.
But, what the fuck were we talking about?
We were talking about the ends.
I know what part of the ends.
We were going to be talking about the two movies.
Okay, yeah. So, right, I wanted to talk about the forgetting, which I think is the thing that people hate the most about this book. I think the thing they hate about the book is at the end they forget each other again. Like, everything gets forgotten, and as like he's writing in his journal and about everything that happens, and he says there's a line that says I fear that one day the only thing left of these memories is going to be this journal, and I fear even more that as time goes by, this journal will also start to fade.
Right.
And as it continues showing writings from his journal, he starts saying that the phone numbers and the names are actually fading in the journal.
Oh, okay.
So it's all just kind of going away.
Oh.
And
right.
I kind of like that a lot.
Right, and that's mentioned by Michael.
Yes.
In just a little bit.
A little bit at the end, because the ending of is, I mean, it's rushed a lot.
Well, of course.
You know, it's.
And you only had two days to get it in.
Yeah. You know, I'm not gonna say it's bad because of that, but it's mentioned except in that one they say, Bill and I are, even though Bill and I are like both together in Derry, we're even forgetting each other's names.
Right.
And I was like, wow, that's rough, because that doesn't happen in the book.
Right.
Like, he at least remembers Bill until after he leaves.
Right.
But like, even like Richie even forgets about like Eddie and stuff, and that's sad.
That is sad.
Because they have such a special. Well, okay.
Well, we have to talk. We don't get off track, and now let's talk about the ending of this.
Oh yeah, in the ending of this one,
and talking about the forgetting.
I hate the ending of this movie.
It kind of sucks.
I kind of hate the whole, like, power of friendship bullshit. I think it's overplayed, and it's really dumb in this sense.
And they kept going. The only thing I really did not like about the ending, they kept fucking going back to the kids. Instead of focusing on the adults, which the second chapter should be, they kept focusing on the kids.
Like, I would have been fine if they were doing it that way.
Right.
If it was like...
If the first chapter was doing that also.
Yes, like, if everything was doing it.
Right.
But the second chapter should have... Like, dude, if you wanted to include all that shit about the kids...
You already had almost a 3-hour-long
guess
movie.
What? Also, I hate what they do to the Ritual of Chute. Because that's fucking dumb. Right. I don't care about your stupid.
Well, let's go back to the forgetting.
I am talking about the ending though. But yeah, they don't forget in this one. They're just like, oh, it's over, and we remember each other, and everything is all happy, and that's not the way it fucking works. So,
because that's not real life. It's not the real
once again, as we talked about in Dr. Sleep, it's another case where they were like, oh, I don't like the ending, so I'm just going to change this thing, and now the purpose and meaning and themes of the book no longer apply to the story. The story no longer apply, and we've just completely made something up to give you a fucking U-turn of a theme at the end of the movie.
Right. Right. And now we can talk about John.
Oh yeah, the Ritual of Chute is when a person and an entity bite onto each other's tongues and tell each other jokes until one of them laughs. Oh. This is a metaphor, as described in the book. I've heard many people be like, I don't understand how such a thing could, like, happen in a movie because it would be way too complicated to, like, show it, and I'm like, I don't think it would.
Right.
The way they describe it is that, like, they kind of just, like, you bite in by, like, doing something or engaging, and you're supposed to, like, bite into their tongue in, like, a spiritual way, kind of, spiritual or psychological way, and you can miss, because in the adults part, like, Bill misses when he goes to bite the tongue the second time, and then Richie does it to save Bill. But literally, it would be really easy to shoot. All you have to do is, like, show them, like, kind of engaging with that, like, phrase, and then the way they describe it is all of a sudden they're in the black. Right. And they use that phrase all the time in the book. It is out of the blue and into the black.
Yeah, which is that awesome Neil Young song.
Oh, is it?
Oh, hell yeah. Huh.
It's also a phrase that's used a lot in that musical Black Friday that we watched.
Yeah. Good song.
Yeah.
You had to have heard that song.
Maybe.
Very good.
I might have heard it and just don't remember it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's very neat.
It is.
But yeah, basically it's in the book. It's not even really that they're telling jokes at each other. It seems a lot more like they're taunting each other and trying to outplot each other.
Okay.
Kind of.
Okay.
Except, or like mentally outmaneuver the other. So like, one of the things that Richie does, like when he does the Ritual of Chute with Pennywise, is he starts doing his Irish cop voice.
Okay.
Which is the one based on Officer Nell, who is not a character in this, but is in this, kind of. Mm-hmm. And is definitely in the book.
Okay. Alright.
He does his Irish cop voice at him, and, like, it hurts Pennywise when he does voices.
Okay.
I don't exactly remember why, because it's 3 a.m. and we watched a shit ton of stuff. But it's a thing that happens.
Okay. Alright. Now, do you want to talk any more about the two movies?
I do.
Okay.
I just don't know what.
Okay.
There's just so much.
I mean, we hit on our favorite shit that happens.
What's your least favorite stuff from that?
Oh, god damn. Just trying to think. Uh, I would say just kind of how generic the kid actors are.
Oh, alright.
I mean, because they really give no depth. I mean, because the first episode is obviously, an hour and a half.
Mm-hmm.
It just added really no context, and it really gave. To be honest, if I really wouldn't have read this book and I watched this, like the first episode, I don't know if I would have turned it back on.
Yeah.
Because it was like, it's boring. I mean, it really was. It was kind of, because you get the cheap kid scares, and it's like, and shit that really isn't scary. And I think it's just kind of like the genericness of, the kid actors, or even the kids, and it's like the kid scares, and it's like, even with that one too, it's like, it's kind of cheap.
All right.
It's kind of Stephen King-esque, if you ask me. Something to make you wait.
Yeah.
It's build, and then it's like, oh, here comes the crescendo. Into the to the adult scene.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, now you're gonna get some real, doozers.
Yeah.
So I would say that's kind of mine for both. Even though I think the cast is better in the.
The kid actors are definitely really good in this.
Yes. Now, what would you say for the miniseries?
Shit. Well. One of the parts I really don't like is the kid actors. The ending scene is really fucking weird because a lot of it is like Beverly shoots the spider in the deadlights.
Yep. With
the silver thing that they found.
Yep.
And then they all it runs away.
Uh-huh.
And then they chase it down, and they just push it over, and then they just start reaching into it and pulling its organs out. Which, I mean, that's kind of similar to the book, but
it's kind of badass.
But at the same time,
it's whoa.
It's like since it's kind of cheap and a little lame, it's not.
Yeah, it's not great.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of a letdown.
It's
kind of a letdown.
It's very quick. I think the whole ending scene is 10 minutes.
Yeah, it's not very long.
Because I think
I know the first time I watched it, I was like, that's it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was like, wow.
It's not long at all.
Right. Right. Yep.
I think that's my least favorite part of it.
Okay.
Just because it's very rushed and I kind of get it because there was one specific part when I was listening to the commentary.
Right.
There was one of the things that they touched on a lot was several people kept saying things like, I really loved filming this feature except for the spider. Fuck the spider. Everyone hated the spider.
Right.
And I think it was
a pain in the ass.
I figure it was just because it had animatronic elements and it was fucking huge.
Right.
And they probably had to fucking tank that thing around places.
Oh, I would imagine that's a pain in the ass.
And I bet it didn't work properly, I bet.
Right. Right.
Because whenever you're dealing with animatronics, something's always going to go wrong.
Sure. I don't know.
But, so I imagine it was just a giant pain in the ass to work with.
Right.
Now,
what would you say about the two movies?
Whoa. I would say the movies, my least favorite.
Yeah.
I really hate the ending of the first of these movies.
All right.
I really hate the ending of both of the movies.
All right.
Like I said, I kind of hate that idea of the power of friendship, and I really hate that thing where they're all yelling insults at it to make it feel small.
Uh-huh.
I think that's dumb.
Right.
I hate that they don't lose their memories.
Right.
I don't.
it plays in a bigger audience.
I guess.
See, I mean, that's the thing about it. I mean, you're playing for a huge audience doing that.
And
I mean, obviously, it's not going to keep up to the book lovers.
No. The other thing
but it's like, oh, a happy ending for a horror movie, yay!
I also don't like all the CGI because it looks bad. It looks cartoony in both of the movies.
Yeah.
There's something that's been happening with CGI lately where they're just like, let's do CGI, but we'll just make it a cartoon instead. That way, like, it'll look really shitty and nobody will believe it and it'll take everyone out of the movie.
But why do that?
Oh, because it's cheap and we're all fucking lazy and don't believe in art anymore.
Oh, alright. Alright.
And I know
is that what it comes to?
I know that's probably diminishing the work of thousands of digital artists, but like...
We apologize, but we don't care.
Dude, I've seen good CGI, and I've seen bad CGI, and this one's bad. Like, it looks
Not
like
good.
shit.
Not good.
Like we were talking about with the fucking new... We just saw the new Resident Evil trailer. The Welcome to Raccoon City or whatever. And, like, we were all talking about, like, holy fuck, the CGI looks like it came out of the first Resident Evil movie.
Does not look good. Does not
so,
look
like,
good.
what the shit are they doing nowadays? It's like 20 years later, and we've apparently not made any technological advances.
Yeah. For cheap. They're getting cheap.
Yeah. And they're just like, let's just make it look like shit, and then people will watch it anyway, and fuck them.
Yeah.
That's
the thing about it. I mean, people are going to watch it. They're going to make millions upon millions of dollars.
Yeah. All you gotta do
because they're going to sell it on the name. Resident Evil is big right now. Again.
I guess so, because it's got, like, the village with the sexy vampire ladies.
Yeah. I mean, it's still big. I mean, it's Halloween time. It's still big.
Yeah. Like, we're gonna get to see a lot of shit.
Cool. So those are your two biggest weaknesses.
I mean, it's a lesser thing, but they briefly show the Mummy, which is what one of the things Ben is afraid of, and like, I really like that as a concept for one of the things that it is.
Okay.
It's not like a huge thing. It's just they teased it and I wanted more. Even though it looked bad, but they did some cool shit with it because like the wrappings for the Mummy like kind of shot out and grabbed at him and shit. And I was like, oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
It's like I'll forgive some bad CGI. I'll complain about it, but I'll forgive it if I enjoy the movie enough. Right. Which I do enjoy all of these because in different ways.
Right.
One of the biggest weaknesses I think of both of them is there are some really cool concepts in the book that aren't in the movies. Like one of the things that Mike Hanlon is afraid of is a giant bird. He constantly sees a giant bird.
Okay. Like
whenever he sees Pennywise. And he first compares it to Rodan, but it's not actually Rodan. He says, I think he describes it as almost like a sparrow?
Okay.
Like a giant sparrow. But later on it's because like they find out that we find out, I don't think he knows, but when he was a baby he was attacked by a crow.
Okay. While
he was in his stroller.
Okay. So
like it's like a subconscious fear of that.
Okay.
And like a hidden memory of that.
Right.
And I thought that was a really interesting idea. And then they kind of tease it a little bit in the fortune cookie scene in both the movies.
Right.
Because Mike's fortune cookie has a baby, like a bird, like a baby bird fetus thing in it. Right. So I mean it's teased at.
Sure.
I mean, in this one, I can't even imagine how they would fucking do that, that gets a pass. This one, you've got cartoon CGI all over the fucking place. You could have done it. It's fine.
A lot of it. A lot of it.
I missed out on Stan's bird watching stuff in this one, especially when they were like, we need artifacts, and instead of instead of doing a fucking shower cap that doesn't seem important to anyone, they could have had like, oh, this was Stan's birdwatching book that he kept at the clubhouse.
Right.
Look at that! I just wrote a better thing than whoever the fuck wrote the second movie.
Right. Yeah. Imagine that. You're not getting even getting paid, dude. The fuck's up with that?
Look at that.
Right.
But I guess the kids can't. Well, you know what? It's a rated R movie. The kids don't have to relate to shit.
No.
This is all for the adults. The adults can relate to bird watching.
No, bird watching's fun.
I'm sure there are some bird watchers who are were around in the 80s. I know there are.
Of course there is.
I had a fucking professor who was.
Oh yeah.
You know. Nah, that's bullshit.
Yeah, whatever.
You could have had that.
Yeah. Go ahead.
They even make a reference to his bird watching in the second movie because he's putting together a puzzle that's birds.
Oh, okay. All right.
And they couldn't just be like, yeah, Stan was a bird watcher.
I don't know.
But he sees those drowned kids at the standpipe.
Okay.
In the book.
All right.
And that's like the big thing that he sees, and that's what scares the shit out of him. And he describes it as it didn't scare him, it offended him on a base level.
Okay.
And that's so much worse than being afraid. Is seeing something that just offends the laws of nature in your head.
Right, that's very true.
And I
it'll change it for the rest of your life.
That's a very good way to put that.
Sure.
One of the things I also love about this book that they kind of removed from the movies, not fully, but kinda, is they talk about the Kitchener Ironworks a lot. What they don't talk about very much, and probably because of the time changes in both the movies, is the previous cycle. Because the previous cycle is the one that begins with the Bradley gang shootout and ends with the fire at the Black Spot. And in the book, that's the 1929 to 1930 cycle, I want to say. Because the one that they're in is 1957.
Okay.
So, they don't talk about that a lot. The Bradley gang shootout is kind of cool because it's just this time where this fucking gang got together and they're like, hey, we want to buy a bunch of ammo from the local guy, and they put in a massive fucking ammo order with the local gun shop guy, and the local gun shop guy tells everyone about it, and they all just start getting their guns together, and then they all just shoot these people when they show up to fucking get the ammo, the whole town. And what I love is, they have the dairy interludes, and that's some of my favorite shit in the book, because it just gives so much background. Because that's the stuff about, where in the book Mike talks about trying to go around researching to write a book about the history of dairy, which he ends up not doing at the end, just because
he wants to get the fuck out.
Yeah.
He's done.
Yeah. Because every single one of them says no, look, here's one of them says straight up to him. I think it's the old librarian. He says, you should not write a history of dairy. No one will read it, and bad things will happen to you. Okay. Because every person who wrote a history of dairy ended up killing themselves, or
that's not good.
Bad things happened to them, died in accidents, things like that.
Right.
So he's just don't do that.
Right.
But it follows him going through and writing the notes in his journal of him going through and interviewing all the old-timers in the town about different events that they were at.
Okay.
And that's how you kind of get, the Bradley gang shooting, and he interviews his dad about the fire at the Black Spot, which, by the way, Dick Halloran's in this book, because Dick Halloran was one of the founders of the Black Spot nightclub, and he's the one who saved Mike Hanlon's dad during the fire.
Oh, very cool.
Because they were all going to run the one way, and Dick Halloran was like, no, if you go that way, you're going to die. You have to come with me.
All right.
And so they show, Dick Halloran kind of using The Shining to get people out of the fucking Black Spot fire.
Nice.
And it's just a fun Easter egg for Shining people, you know?
Right.
But, none of that's...
But you should have watched by now.
Yeah, our Shining video.
Yeah.
It just came out today. Yesterday.
Yes. Yeah.
But, anyway, I've been droning on for quite a while. Mike, do you have anything Did you say your least favorite part for this?
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah, the kids.
Oh. I hate kids.
No, I mean just in terms of the clicking with the kids.
I love Finn Wolfhard in that movie.
Yeah.
Now this is the hard part, Mike.
Here we go. Do you have a coin on hand? No.
There's one over there.
All right.
You want to grab it?
Sure.
Grab one of those quarters.
Well, first of all, before we do,
yeah, that's. Fair.
I'll have you go this time. I went for the first last 3 times, so.
Man, this is rough because like I don't know. This is hard. This is the hardest one.
Sure.
I've ever.
This is the final week. What do you expect? It to be easy?
No.
What? No. All right. Focus on the judging.
Thinking. All right. So I'll talk this through. This is a little bit closer to the book.
Sure.
In some of the cases.
Sure.
This one. All right. So we're judging both of these. We're judging both of these as one.
Yes.
Then I have to pick this. And here's the reason why, because we haven't brought up why I'm going to pick this now.
Well, then go with it.
The reason I'm picking the miniseries is because these 2 movies are completely different tonally.
Uh-huh.
Like, one is a straight horror movie and the other one is basically a comedy.
Uh-huh.
For It Chapter 2, which, by the way, I love It Chapter 2 and It Chapter 1, but It Chapter 2, one of the main things I kept hearing him say in the director's commentary, which they don't have for the first one on this Blu-ray.
Sure.
But on the director's commentary, he keeps saying that I wanted to do this because I thought it was funny, and I was just like, all right, that's cool. Maybe that's not the right choice. Like the first one, it has some really dark and spooky clown shit. Like it's.
Say, we're back for part 2.
Yeah, because we're back for part 2.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, bud. Yeah.
We're back.
Yeah. If we look different, we once again we were doing another Gen Wars,
and the camera died.
We were so long-winded. The camera said, "Enough of this. It's time for bed."
The camera decided to shit out at 3:30 in the morning.
Yeah,
So
it's all right. All right, we're back again.
We're back.
Yeah, talking about it.
Now, what we were left off was me picking the mini-series over the movies, which would piss people off.
So what? It's our show.
Yeah.
And then you were kind of going into specifics why you weren't picking this.
Yes. Even though a lot of stuff in here is actually better than things in there.
Okay.
Because we're viewing both of these as one movie.
Yes. And they're one story.
Yeah, they are one story, and the 2 movies have completely different tones. Mm-hmm. Like, completely tonally different.
100%.
So it's, like, I think this was the first time I've ever done this, but we watched both of them back to back.
Yeah.
And it is like whiplash almost when you're watching these movies.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
And that's one of the reasons I have to pick this one, just because, say what you will about the miniseries, at least they're tonally consistent.
Yeah. And kind of cheese.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Plus, it's kind of charming in a way.
I agree.
Yeah.
And plus, I think you were kind of saying before the good old camera decided to test their fate. You were talking about kind of how 2 different tones were. One's a comedy.
Yeah.
And one's a horror.
Yeah, one is definitely like a horror,
right.
One is a comedy.
Right.
Like, in that one, you literally have a scene where they start singing "Angel of the Morning" while the leper pukes in Eddie's mouth. Like,
and you could kind of see, obviously, from the dinner scene, you could obviously see where it's projecting.
Yeah.
And it's going to be like, this is not going to be really taken seriously.
Yeah, it does kind of feel like it's not taken seriously.
It's not. I mean, especially when you have that scene of Angel in the morning when Eddie's biggest fear is getting, obviously, is getting sick, or, the leper, and, getting all that vomit or whatever that black bile stuff was.
Right. And
it's like it takes away from it. It's like when we talk
about
Dr. Sleep.
I love it.
Sure.
But it takes away from it.
It does,
like
because it's an overall
story.
It's supposed to be a very dark point.
Like the
dark
book is very dark.
It's dark.
And like there are supposed to be lighthearted parts and like nice memories and things like that. And it's got that, but you can't sacrifice everything for a couple of yucks.
No, you can't. Because it takes away.
Yeah, and that's why I'm picking the It miniseries from 1990 over Andy Muschietti's beloved films.
Yeah, beloved. Big grossers.
Yeah. Mike, what's your choice?
I'm gonna go with the miniseries.
Really?
Oh yeah.
For the same reason?
Pretty much. Pretty much, because like I was talking about, like I said, with the biggest weaknesses, it's with the children. This focuses on one half. Yeah. And then it moves for the second episode. Yeah. Which is an hour and 15 minutes?
Both are an hour and 33 minutes.
Okay. Okay,
or I think the first one is an hour and 31, and the second half is an hour and 33.
Right. Let's say it's probably 2 hours on the television with commercials. Yeah. So with that 2 hours of television on the second episode, it focuses on the adults. Yeah. It doesn't always go to these fucking flashbacks.
You have a few.
But
nothing like...
I mean, you maybe have one or two, literally.
I think it might be, because...
And that's what the second chapter of It 2 does way too much. If they wouldn't have done all those flashbacks and cutbacks to when they were kids, I would have picked that series. But they just keep going back.
I think one of the things that we haven't brought up yet, can we also talk about for 1 second? They brought a bunch of the kids all back for all those cutscenes and flashbacks.
Oh, you're going to talk about the
and they de-aged those kids, and like they look all fucked up. Yeah. Like especially Ben,
right?
The actor who plays Ben. Yeah. Like
even Finn Wolfhard with his eyes.
Finn Wolfhard, like his eyes look.
It's like
really
you can't focus on anything on his face besides his eyes.
Or it looks like he's got big cartoon eyes.
Right.
Like,
right.
It's like Bobby Portis.
Yeah. Bobby Crazy Eyes.
Yeah.
But yes, going back to what I always found out the weakness, it's the kids. But that second chapter, it doesn't even really focus on the adults. It's always about the children, how they would deal with it. We already got that in a 2.5 hour long movie in chapter 1.
At least we should have. But then they also bring out a bunch of stuff in the second part of that one that never happened in the first one.
Right, like the clubhouse.
Like they show the clubhouse, which they didn't show in the first one.
But once again, they go back to being the children again in the clubhouse. Every fucking scene, they go back to the children, and it's like, what am I watching this for?
Like, it does make for some cool scenes.
It does, like, but you could have done that in the first book.
Like, it does have...
In the first movie.
One of my favorite shots in that entire movie is that one where the actor who plays Eddie as an adult, like, walks up to the counter, and then it, like, kind of fades, and it shows the child Eddie walking up to the counter and takes up where his face is. Right. Because all the actors in that one look like the kids. Right. Except for Ben.
But we really don't need that, because we knew he did that in the first movie. He went to the counter and she signed loser on his cast. Yeah. We already got that. Yeah. We don't need that for another filler for another 5 minutes. And we already have that. Yeah. I don't need to see that again.
It's not really a thing that we need.
No,
it's a shot that I like.
Even at the end. Even at the end, when they're all standing there and they defeated Pennywise, the dancing clown, they're standing there in that I don't know if it's like the store or like a movie theater or wherever the hell it was, and then it fades to the kids again, and then the kids are riding away on their bikes again. Yeah. And that's the end of the movie, and it's like, I'm sick of the kids.
Fuck these kids.
I'm here to see the adults and how it affected their lives.
Fuck these kids. Show me more James McAvoy.
And Bill Hader.
And Bill Hader.
And Jessica Chastain
and Deputy so-and-so.
Yeah, Deputy so-and-so who's dead, but
in real life, or
no?
Oh,
no, movie. Eddie.
He dies in all of the movies he's in, I guess, huh?
Well, no,
or at least all the ones we've seen.
Yeah.
He died at the end of Sinister 2, and then he dies in this one. Huh.
But yeah, that's why I'm picking this, because you got John Ritter. You got John Ritter throughout the whole second part.
John Ritter's alright.
You don't flash back to when he was a boy.
And yes, this is cheesy. Yes, people hate the special effects.
And plus, too, I also pick because of Timothy Curry.
Oh, Tim Curry's good. I love Bill Skarsgård.
He's good.
Too.
He's good, but he doesn't have the charm that Timothy Curry has.
I would have loved to see Bill Skarsgård's Pennywise do that scene in the library. Where he's taunting Richie. Because in the book he does that to Ben.
Okay.
And I think that's where the line "Kiss me, fat boy" comes from.
Okay.
But he's taunting Ben, and he just calls him fat boy and all that shit.
Right. Right. Just to do like that, like I said, that's my favorite part of this. When he was doing that goofy shit.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't get that in this.
Because, even though Tim Curry is being, kind of funny and kind of goofy...
Yeah. It's creepy at the same time.
He's doing it in a way that's very menacing.
Yes.
And that's weird.
Yeah.
I don't think I've seen a performance that's been pulled off like that in quite a while. Bill Skarsgård, he's creepy, he's good.
Yeah.
He's only creepy.
Yeah.
He's not, making any jokes or anything like that.
Right. Which Stephen King books always have.
Yeah, they're always a
little... They always have a little bit of silliness and
Stephen
goofiness.
King is always a little goofy.
Oh, yes.
And that's... Except Pet Sematary. Pet Sematary is different, though.
Right.
Even he was like, no, this is too dark.
Right.
I can't release this to people.
Right.
And... But most of his books have, a little bit of silliness or goofiness.
Right.
Whether just from the concept of it, or whether it's got some jokes inserted,
Right. Right.
And this one, you've got Richie as a character,
Yeah. There always has to be at least one with comedic relief.
Yeah.
Yes. But you get that with Eddie Dean and the Dark Tower series.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I like Eddie.
Yeah.
Eddie's good. He's the best character so far in that I've seen.
He's the most likable character.
He was pretty fun in that shootout scene in 2. That's good.
Yeah.
Good shit.
Yeah. Now he's the flawed and funny character.
Yeah. Trying to figure his shit out.
Yeah. With his own demons in check.
Yeah.
But yeah, I picked the miniseries.
So...
I knew I was going to pick the miniseries either way.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah.
I wasn't sure, but... Because I kind of didn't want to pick the miniseries, because this is very, very good.
Right.
So much of this is great.
Right.
And...
It focuses itself.
Yeah, this one...
It focuses itself, and this one does not.
Yeah, this one's kind of all over the place,
right.
Tonally at least.
See, I thought you were gonna stay fast like you did with The Shining. You picked the miniseries.
Really?
Because it obviously adds more context. Because it obviously follows the book.
Well, yeah, but I feel like this one might have more context because it's longer than the
Right.
This is 2 or 3 hours, or an hour and a half or 2 hours longer than the miniseries.
I know.
But
I know.
I felt like there wasn't quite as much.
Right.
And maybe that's just because the second movie is 2 hours and 45 minutes long. And
it's way too long.
I feel like not a lot happens in that movie after we watched it yesterday.
No, it doesn't.
And I think the reason for that is because it's constantly flashing back
That's
to the
what
kids,
I'm talking
now that
about.
I think about it.
That's all it does.
And
you have a scene, and you'll be in the middle of a scene, and then they'll fucking flash back like in the locker scene.
Yeah.
They'll have Ben, and then they'll flash back,
and
then they'll go back again, and it's like, dude, why is this necessary?
Yeah.
I'm just going on a soapbox here, but it's not necessary. You could have cut at least 45 minutes out of that if you wouldn't have included the kids.
Yeah, you could have cut 45 minutes out, or put 45 minutes of other stuff in.
Right, exactly. Exactly.
Because really, I think the main issue with the second movie is the Ritual of Chud, and it's not just because it's wrong from the book. It's because it sends us on this dumb fucking totem hunt,
right,
or token hunt,
right,
where everyone's going around looking for fucking tokens,
right,
and it's just an excuse to flash back to kids.
Exactly.
That are like, or to introduce more of the kids stuff, and that's not interesting at that point. We've seen the kids.
We already saw it. We already saw it in a whole movie.
Especially when they built, like, the way this movie was built up was like, look at the amazing cast we have playing these kids.
Yeah.
Get ready, folks.
Yes.
And then maybe half of the movie.
Maybe.
We should have been focusing on these people. You know?
You get a
big
cast.
And it's fine if we have a flashback now and then.
Yeah.
But, like...
This has maybe 2 or 3.
Yeah.
This has 20 to 30?
And I would say it's probably a good half of the movie.
And that's too many.
Because I would say maybe I bet if you cut all the kid flashbacks out of that, you might have a tight 90 movie.
Maybe. I said 2 hours, but maybe it's that much more. And what's that tell you? That it's all filler. I don't know.
Or that
it could have been better.
It could have been better.
Yeah.
I like it a lot.
Sure.
Again, I don't like the ending. Usually when I watch it chapter 2, I just don't watch the ending.
Right. Also, too, in this, I don't like the way they portray Mike in the second as a liar.
Oh shit! Yeah.
As really like as a
we should talk
devious...
a little bit about how they portray the adults in that movie for a second, because they portray Mike as a liar.
Yeah.
And that's bullshit.
Right.
They also do that thing where they're like, look, Mike's parents were crackheads, and it's like, well, in the book, Mike's parents were like,
right,
the one family. They were like the one family that was like fucking tight knit and together and not fucked up.
Right.
Like they were the ones who were just like, yeah, Mike had a happy childhood pretty much, except for all the racist assholes around him, namely Henry Bowers.
Yeah.
Henry Bowers poisoned his dog and yelled the N-word at him a lot, which isn't in either of these movies.
I don't think it...
We can show a violent hate crime against a gay couple, but like we can't have... Right. We can't show Henry Bowers being a racist. That's just too far.
Yeah. Double-edged sword there, hey? Yeah.
I figure if we're gonna have the violent hate crime part, we can have Henry Bowers chasing him around yelling the N-word.
Right.
Like,
and that doesn't make no sense.
I mean, it's not okay, but Henry Bowers is evil.
He is.
And like that's part of his evil in the book is that he's also racist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just don't like the way they portrayed Mike.
No.
It's not necessary.
Because they make it to where he lied to them, and then he lied to them a second time.
Yes, yeah, they that multiple lies. That didn't actually happen.
No, that didn't happen in the book. In the book.
Or in this one.
No, it didn't happen in there either.
No.
Because in the book, they all knew, like, they show up and they all know why they showed up. They're like, yeah, it's back. Like, that's gotta be what it is.
Right.
Because he calls him back, and like the base memories return.
Sure.
So it's like, oh, I remember who you are, and I remember what happened.
Right. Right. And this one now.
Yeah. And in the book, they also kind of keep some of their base memories. Like, Bill talks about how Audra, remember I told you I grew up in a town called Derry, and my brother died when I was a kid. Well, my brother was actually murdered, and blah blah blah. Like he is able, when asked about his past, he is able to give like a base understanding of what his past was. You know?
Right.
Just not details.
Right.
And in this one, I think Bill Hader has a line where he's like, I only remembered growing up here like 2 hours ago, and I'm just like, how the fuck did you function in your life if you were like, yeah, I have absolutely no memory of any of my childhood.
Right. That isn't gonna go over very well.
Like, what?
Where'd you grow up? I don't remember.
Yeah, where'd you grow up? I don't know. Fuck if I know, man.
Did you have any, like, childhood friends? I don't even know where I was, dude.
I was just so high. I also like that one Richie line when he first sees the Loser Club in the miniseries. And, like, when they go into the Jade Dragon, or whatever it's called in that one. And he sees him, and he's like, fuck this, and he, like, dips out to the bathroom, and he, like, puts water in his face, and he's just like, alright, come on. It was just too much fun in 67.
Yeah.
Because that's, like, right after he comes back from the library, and sees Pennywise up on the rafters and shit.
Yeah. And that's how you would react.
Yeah.
I mean, you wouldn't be, super sarcastic already. I mean, you'd be like, oh, boy.
All right. We're good?
I really don't want to be here, but I'm here. Because I'm going to have to face down fear.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, it's kind of like in the chapter 2, like, they kind of figure it out later.
Yeah. That
it's like, oh, well, if we leave, we're going to end up like Stan anyway.
Right.
So
and also, like, kind of too,
we fight it or we die.
Right. Also, kind of too in the second chapter, you got that fun, hangout scene at the Jade Orient, and you can obviously tell it's the white elephant in the room. I know they're busting balls, but they really don't get to the meat of the, the meat of the potatoes until they're probably liquored up, and it's like, oh, yeah, we're here for a reason.
Well, yeah, that happens in the book, too.
Okay.
Like, where at first it's like, oh, we're all having fun and everything, and they're like, alright, so...
Yeah.
Elephant in the room, where's Stan? Also, it's back, right?
Right. It would be good to catch up for, like, 5 minutes, and then it would be like, I'm here for a reason.
Yeah. That's
and I don't want to be here right now.
Yeah.
I do not want to be
here. Everyone is very afraid.
Well, of course.
But in the miniseries and the movie, but they have this weird thing where a lot of them are like, I'm getting out of here, fuck this. And that's not really a thing that happens in the book.
Okay.
Because they all just know.
Right.
There's this interesting part in the book where they kind of bring up that people just kind of know that things are falling into place. There's one point where like another kid starts hanging out with them over the summer, but none of them, like, they all know that he's not really one of them. He's not a loser like they are. Right. He's not one of them. So he ends up, like, kind of just disappearing
Poor
off.
Kid.
Well, he
just wanted a friend.
He gets mad at Beverly because he lost to a girl, and everyone yells at him, and then he leaves.
Oh, okay. Okay. But, God forbid you lose to a chick, right? Back
in the 50s.
Yeah, back then, yeah.
It was the 50s. He wasn't a man anymore.
Right. You gotta love that old time thinking, right?
Oh, it's fun shit.
Oh.
But they also have that, like, at that point they also mentioned, like, we knew that we didn't have the whole team together. Like, we knew everyone wasn't here, and we wondered how many more there would be.
Right.
And then they meet Mike, and when they meet Mike, they instantly know Mike is one of us.
Okay.
So it's, I don't know if it's the turtle or if it's what it is, because...
No, it may be the beams alignment.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe the 7 beams.
Yeah, because it's a cycle, so...
Yeah. Could be.
Yeah, the 7 beams align every time a
7
loser...
beams on the tower. You never know.
Time,
because the Crimson King is a deadlight, so...
He is. Apparently.
Yeah.
He might be Pennywise.
He might be. Will we ever know? Probably not.
Yeah. That's weird shit.
I know.
But,
yeah, but I would give these 2 movies a watch.
Yeah,
obviously watch the miniseries. It's a gem.
None of these are bad.
No. No.
And any criticism I throw at these is more because
that's what we do.
It's what we do. We criticize shit. Like,
a
lot of stuff looks like shit in that movie too. So
it's dated. That's what I said
trust
originally.
Me when I say
dated.
If you want to watch good acting, watch these.
Yeah.
If you want to watch a story that meshes together properly, watch this.
Good adult actors though.
Yeah. John Ritter's good.
Yeah, John Ritter.
Everyone else is a little...
Bill's good.
Bill's alright. Bill has some moments where he's not good, but it's TV movie and they didn't have a lot of money. They probably couldn't do it a lot of shots or whatever. It's fine.
Sure.
Richie is fucking annoying as he probably should be.
That's his character.
But like, they said that the guy improv'd almost all of his lines in there, and you can kind of tell because like not everything lands properly, but at the same time like.
It adds that goofy, annoying effect.
He has that thing that Richie kind of has in the book where Richie is just like really fucking irritating, and that's why they have the beep beep Richie. It's just like shut the fuck up, dude. Like we're done.
Yeah.
Like bring it down.
Yeah. Chill, dude. Chill.
Oh yeah, maybe we should talk about like how Richie is in love with Eddie in the movie.
I guess we could.
It's not really a thing that's brought up a lot.
Right.
It's not a concept that's brought up in the miniseries.
Right.
It's a concept that's hinted at in the book, though.
Okay.
And maybe it's reading into it a little much or something, but like, I feel like there aren't a lot of scenes between Eddie and Richie in the book, but then when Eddie's dying, he specifically asks for Richie and goes to tell him something, and then he dies. He says, Richie, I have something to tell you, and then he dies.
Right.
And, like, then Richie, like, kisses his cheek as they leave him behind, and, you know, it's a lot of, like, hinty stuff that could just be, like, friendship, love stuff.
Like brotherly love, or...
Yeah, but, like, it could easily be construed as that if you want it to be.
Good.
And I thought it was just an interesting thing to add to the movie.
Yeah.
And I know there are going to be people who were pissed about it.
I don't care.
Or I know that there were people who were pissed about it.
I don't care.
I don't give a fuck.
No, we're not that kind of show.
No.
No.
If you're going to show the hate crime, you can show the other side.
Yeah.
It's fine.
You sure can. Yeah.
Like,
you can show the other side of the spectrum.
I'm also going to say I thought it was important that they did show the hate crime part.
It was tough.
It's rough.
It's very tough.
But it is a integral part of the book because it's the beginning of that cycle.
Right.
So it's violence starts the cycle and violence ends the cycle. So in that one, in the book, they kind of imply that that's the beginning of that cycle, or at least the first death in that cycle.
All right.
And all those guys get arrested and shit in the book. We don't get to see that in the movie, but like they all go to trial. One of them ends up in Shawshank and shit.
Cool.
Like yeah, they get out pretty soon for people who beat a guy to death.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
It is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
It's dairy.
Yeah.
And in the book, it is dairy.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, but give these two a watch.
Yeah, watch all this shit.
Miniseries is the better.
Yeah, I think.
So you want to hold this up and say it's a champ?
Once again, this DVD set is the champ.
Yeah.
Well, for the last time, probably. I can't imagine.
I don't think we're gonna be touching Salem's Lot.
At some point we will, but Donald Sutherland was in this. How the Rutger Hauer, Donald Sutherland.
It's casted well. Of course, it's casted well.
Rob Lowe.
It's not. That doesn't mean it's good.
TNT. What the fuck? Like, how do you fuck this up?
Bad writing, dude. That's all that matters.
It's not even writing. It's more just like, wow, nothing happens in this.
Mm-hmm.
This is, I want to say it's 2.5 hours long. It's very short for a miniseries. Okay. It's the shortest one on here. I think it's only one disc.
Okay.
I swear to God, I was sitting there watching it and I was like, or no, it's 2 discs, but I went through the first disc and I was like, oh my God, nothing has happened in this at all. Like, there have been no vampires. There's been nothing but people talking. What the fuck is happening?
Right, we'll talk about that at a later point.
Maybe at some point.
Yeah.
Probably when the new Salem's Lot comes out.
Sure. Maybe.
We can do a Salem's Lot Gen War with the 70s one, that one,
great.
And whatever the new one
Just
James
great.
Wan is producing is.
Just great.
James Wan's producing it. Maybe it'll be good.
Yeah.
Maybe it's Maybelline.
Sure. Yeah, but that bad boy wins.
Again.
Yep.
Oh, we're gonna get so much hate mail.
I don't care. Send it to John.
Yeah, you guys have our email. Send it to me.
Yeah.
I promise I'll reply.
Sure. Sure.
I'll just start forwarding you all of our copyright claims, and it'll be fine.
But thank you for sticking around for our spooktacular.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah. This is our first time, so
tomorrow's going to be Halloween.
Yeah.
So
it sure will be.
Go enjoy Halloween.
Yeah. Stay safe out there.
Yeah. Stay safe out there. Watch some movies.
Yeah.
Fun Halloween shit.
Yeah. Get vaccinated so you can go trick or treating.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
All the good shit about Halloween.
Yep. Absolutely.
And watch the It movies.
Yep.
It's a good Halloween movie. We have a It rug that we have, or a welcome mat that we put out.
Cool.
It's like Pennywise in the drain, like reaching up.
Right. Either tonight or tomorrow we'll be doing a live Twitch.
Yeah. Something like that.
Yeah.
We plan on it at least. Yeah.
If not, just stay tuned.
We'll figure it out. It'll either be really fun quality or really shit quality. So you got that to look
Let's be
forward
honest, it's the worst produced show on the internet, so it's probably not going to be very good.
Yeah, we're going to be doing, what is it? We're each picking 15?
10.
10?
That's what we did last year.
Yeah, so let's do 15 this year. 15 movies to watch around the Halloween season.
Oh my god. It's going to be like a 4-hour-long stream.
Who cares?
It's exhausting. And we're spending most of the time, instead of playing games and watching movies, on the live stream.
Fine, 10. Whatever.
Okay.
I don't care.
10 is tight. 15 is loose.
Kind of tight.
And usually what we do at the end of 10, we will give other suggestions.
Oh, yeah.
What didn't make the cut?
Yeah. Well, we did
that with top 10 favorite horror movies?
Well, the last one we did, I thought it was just 20 movies that you should watch.
Oh, I thought it was 10.
Well, we each came up with 10.
Yeah.
So it ended up being 20.
Right.
Like a top 20.
Right.
Well, not really a top, but we just came up with...
Sure.
We each came up with a few movies to talk a little bit about and tell people to watch.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And that's kind of what this is. These are movies to watch for Halloween.
Yeah. Yep.
Which is probably... You know what? Next time we should start it on like October 1st, and we should be like, these are the movies you should watch this month.
Yeah. Okay.
Like
we could do that.
We could each do 15, and then we'll have 30.
We could do that.
30 movies to watch during Halloween.
Yeah.
Man, that's what we should have done.
That's alright.
Oh well.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah. Thanks everybody.
Thanks guys.
Yep.
Have a good night.
Yeah. Yeah. Stay safe.
Yeah. Stay safe.
Yeah. Take care, everybody.
All the stuff.
Yeah. Go Box.